Well, one game is down, and only one more to go tonight. It's two best of ones, but if it's anything like game number one, well, it's not going to disappoint. It's going to be the Portsmouth Paladins versus Slugs Black. You mentioned earlier that we wanted to see Portsmouth play. Obviously, I've got a bit of caster bias going into it, but in the past, in Newell, they have been a very dominant roster, so I think they have to be one to look out for after not, I believe, even entering a team last year.
Yeah, I think they're definitely a side that I want to keep an eye on. I think, I speak about, I guess you could say my bias to a degree, is a team who back in my early years of playing University CSGO, they were untouchable. And it was sort of one of those things, there was no doubt, there's no question mark. It was normally, to be honest, the race for second place. That seemed to be the standard case when it came to Portsmouth, because they were a side who, as a university, played against, some like tier 2, tier 3 teams in Europe. They were putting up relatively strong performances. I remember, if I'm right in saying, they played against Anonymo when I was in my first year, or essentially some of the players that are now representing Anonymo. And of course, that says everything in their own regard. Stepped away, and now they're back. The question is, can they replicate the performances of the team that I know and love?
Yeah, and I think a big part of it is going to be how much has that roster changed? Have they made a lot of changes? I know that Joe is actually playing on the team right now. I believe that he actually took a break to play Valorant over in the spring season, so I'm excited to see whether he's able to, come back at it, get back into the swing of playing CS and have success. That's going to be an interesting one. But at the same time, Slugs Black, not a team that I have any experience with personally. I'm not sure whether you know anything about the squad, but maybe a bit of an unknown coming into this one.
Yeah, relatively, a little bit. I've definitely heard the name before, and I think if I'm right in saying I may have seen one or two of their games last year, if it was the same team that I'm thinking of. Dino's a name that comes to mind as one I recognise, maybe just a prominent face within UK CS, and hoping if it is the one that I think I know, then it should be actually quite the interesting game. Quite an aggressive player in their nature, and because of that, we'd expect to see, as we spoke about, this puggy style of CSGO come through. The question is, are we going to see that? Are Portsmouth Paladins going to give them the ability and the space to come through? We mentioned they stepped away to Valorant, maybe they've now been tainted by the lesser FPS, and of course, maybe they won't have it in them anymore when it comes back into CSGO.
Maybe. We'll see how it goes for them. But I have to say, in the past, when I've seen Portsmouth Paladins play, they've definitely had a very disciplined play style. I
Yeah.
wouldn't necessarily call them a puggy team like you can say about a
Mhm.
lot of squads in this. Sure, they have that confidence, they have that mechanical skill, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect them to go in and just full send immediately start going for frags only. I would expect this squad to play very disciplined, and I think that they're a team that, especially on the CT side, are going to have a lot of success.
Yeah, I think especially coming into this, from what we saw of our first best of one, that discipline needs to come forward, because that was essentially for both the T sides and our opening best of one. That was their biggest fault. No discipline, lack of synergy, lack of coercion, and because of that, they were unable to find essentially anything when it came to that T side. And of course, coming into now, of course, the second time round, we need to see more of the same. Whether we'll see it is the big question.
Yeah, it's about being able to actually perform on the day. Obviously, last game we expected both teams to do amazing,
Yeah.
and they weren't able to perform. So I think it throws a lot of questions up into the air of, well, it's a best of one. Are they going to be able to? Are they coming into it warmed up? Is going to be a big thing. Last game it was the first game all the teams were playing of the evening, but tonight, both squads have had a match already to prepare. So hopefully we're not going to see that sloppy start to the game like we maybe saw in match
Yeah.
number one. Hopefully both teams are already warmed up and ready to go.
Yeah, exactly that. They've got that sort of the first game jitters out of the way. Now the confidence comes through. Now they can start to actually play their play style that we know that they can do. But into the second game, they need to come into it quick, right? We need to, again, as we spoke about, dictate the tempo and their playstyle from the get-go. Whether we're going to get that really is up to, I think, a big factor, as we said, as we spoke about, Portsmouth Paladins and their sort of playstyle coming through. As they weren't sort of present, I guess we could say, in the previous seasons. They now have this sort of, as we spoke about, the unknown identity about them, which does start to bring a couple of question marks of how Slugs Black on a player.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting one, how Portsmouth Paladins are really going to run the game, because if it is the squad that we've seen in the past that have had
Yeah.
so much success, they are going to dictate the pace of the game. And if they want to play aggressive, if they want to try and keep Slugs on the back foot, then they might just be able to. But at the same time, being one of those squads that's able to stay disciplined, to
Yeah.
play slowly and play as a team, it's going to be interesting. And what I want to see this game is something that we didn't really see too much on Overpass, and it's actual executes onto site. We saw a lot of pushes, we saw some flashes, some smokes, that kind of thing, but we didn't have any real team setups. And I think that's something that, going into the later stages of Newell CSGO is really going to separate those top teams from the ones who really are just playing for the hell of it.
Yeah, spot on. That is going to be the biggest thing. I think what you mentioned earlier as well, discipline. That is, I think, what at times we lacked in that opening best of one. I think if you're playing the long game, if you want to, of course, get consistent performances under your belt, having that discipline when it comes down to the core elements of CSGO, even the simplistic things we speak about, right, bits of utility coming forward. The post plant seems to be a big factor that both of the sides in the opening best one really struggled on. These are real factors that are going to start to play into this. I think we spoke about it in the opening best of one, but I think the veto is another thing that will start to lead us in this narrative. And again, how do they want to play this? Do you want to play for your own strengths, or do you want to play against your opponent's weaknesses?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to see. We are just waiting on those vetoes right now as the players
Mhm.
all get loaded into the server. Obviously, they just finished their first game, so
Yeah.
depends on how long ago that finished. They might need a little bit of a break before
Mhm.
getting into match number 2. But you got to hope that it went well for both of them, and they are going to be able to carry on that momentum because it's something that last game we saw. Once you start slipping a few rounds, it's really hard to salvage them back at times. And if they're coming off
Yeah.
a really strong win, they've got to be feeling good coming into this one and potentially going to start things off with a bang.
Yeah, I think coming into this as well, as we spoke about, the map pick is going to be quite the big factor coming in. Are we going to see those puggy style maps come through? We spoke about Mirage, Inferno, Dust 2, I think, are the most common, especially like the Dust 2 and Mirage. If you ever step into any sort of or any sort of face it, you're always mainly going to get one of those two. It's kind of a map that everyone knows and loves. And of course, the biggest factor is that the utility that you see come out onto it is so bog standard that it really is down to your individual prowess, which hence it has that puggy nature about it. But we do like to see the UK teams step away and start to branch out a little bit. Vertigo is a map that we could definitely potentially see. And again, as we mentioned, Overpass at times does seem to be the home of the UKCS.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any maps that I haven't had a chance to cast for Newell so far. I feel like the only ones that I haven't casted are Ancient, and I think we've only had one Dust 2 game the
Mhm.
entire time I've casted for Newell. So I want
Yeah.
to see something a little different. We saw, last stage, a lot of Inferno being played by those squads, and I think that
Yeah.
is one of those maps that really separates the stronger teams from the weaker teams to a certain extent because, it's one of those maps that relies on that team play, and
Mhm.
it can really, if you are a disciplined squad, like we've talked about the Paladins being, can be so beneficial. So I'm excited to see
Sure.
whether we do end up somewhere like that, as I believe the veto will be underway very shortly. So I'm excited to see how teams decide to play it and maybe get a bit of early insight onto where we're going to end up.
Yeah, I still think early doors, especially the opening, 2, 3 weeks, I would definitely, probably expect teams to lean towards those polytile maps because you don't really want to, especially now with, a new team. And of course, in that sense, you maybe not have that synergy built up, which you would have later days. But of course, the veto starting here and now is where things start to get underway. Overpass, the arguably, as I've said at times before, the home of CS, the first one out of the equation. So, well, a new map as our second game of the day is, we'd love to see that.
Yeah, we don't like playing the same map back to back. Nuke going to be going out after it. I'm starting to get the idea that teams want to go for a bit of a puggy map right now.
Yeah.
Overpass and Nuke, both maps that are very team focused. Obviously, our first Overpass of the evening felt like
Yeah.
wasn't really that. So, going to be interesting to see whether we do end up somewhere a bit more aggressive. As Inferno's also out of it, so I'm really getting the idea now that this is just going to be a frag fest.
Yeah, unless they want to make their way towards Vertigo, which I say, in my opinion, is probably the most util-heavy map. That and Nuke in that sense. Ancient gonna fall. I think it was pretty expected. Most teams, especially at this stage, especially in sort of the lower tiers of CS:GO, you don't really need to get onto Ancient. Very, very complex, very methodical style, not needed at all. And we of course still have 2 out of 3. Make that 1 out of 3 of the puggy maps. Mirage and Vertigo left here, and what are we going to get? Is it going to be arguably the puggiest map of them all? It is. Mirage, Vertigo dropped out, and there we go. We're going to the home ground of everyone's CSGO experience. Mirage, very simplistic style of play, all the utility everybody knows. So, of course, a heavy reliance on individual prowess.
Yeah, I like it as well. You can just go with kind of a standard setup as such.
Yeah.
You don't need to be pulling out these 4D strats that you maybe save for the maps that you play less. You can go for a standard setup. And sure, if things don't go your way, maybe you can switch things up, go for some bit more exciting strategies. But for a
Yeah.
squad like the Paladins that we've said so many times, very disciplined, I think this is the perfect site, the perfect map we could end up on. I mean, A site, for instance, it feels like the perfect place. Everyone knows how to execute onto A on Mirage, so I would expect this to be a really close knit fight. And it all comes down to Slugs Black, honestly. I think how they play
For
it is
sure.
really going to decide the pace of the game. they want to play it puggy, sure, you can do on Mirage, but at the same time, if you want to play methodical, want to play more utility focused, it's absolutely a map that can support that.
Yeah, spot on. I think as well, especially early weeks coming into the sort of the null tournament, right? Where, as you mentioned, you may not have had enough time, or any time, in fact, to really play with each other, really understand your teammates' sort of play styles, how they like to think. In that sense, play things safe. Go for an easy pick coming out, a map which everyone knows on. And, you know, in sort of the worst comes to worst situations, you can always just fall back on your defaults, which on Mirage are very, very simplistic, as you mentioned. The execute over towards A, smoke over towards CT, smoke towards jungle, very basic stuff. Because of that, in hard times when things aren't going well, you can fall back to the very, very standard style of CSGO, which, you know, at this sort of level is definitely the thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a good old-fashioned game of CS where you can frag out, you can play a little bit more utility focus. You are flexible, and that's something I'm really excited to see. We're going to get into the game in just a second, but before we do, I just want to thank Intel and SteelSeries for supporting this event and making it all possible. The new CSGO would not be happening without them. Match number 2 of the evening getting underway shortly. The teams are just deciding what sides they're going to end up on. It's Portsmouth Paladins that won the knife round, so what do you think they're going to go for here? Obviously a disciplined squad. Maybe prefer that CT side sometimes.
Yeah, CT side all the way. If you win a knife round, go CT side on Mirage. It's a slightly more CT sided map. We've definitely seen teams be more dominant on their T side, but that always falls back to individual prowess, as I like to call, and that's exactly what we're going to see. Going over towards that CT side, as expected, because it sort of allows you that more comfortable pick coming forward. And the question is, can Slugs Black answer back?
Yeah, well, we'll find out soon enough as it's underway. You can already see Slugs Black with that util getting ready to do something. Looked like a bit of confusion as to exactly what was happening there, but they've already sent 2 players over to B. Are they going for an early game fake here? I like this. There's only 1 player from Portsmouth Paladins actually over at A right now. So if they do make a bit of noise over towards B, it could be the perfect opening for that bomb to just sneak onto the site and go for that kind of sneaky play to kick things off.
Yeah, so far, very, very slow, but in comes a bit of utility. Slugs Black trying to find something, but from above, it's Joke to find one. Shabby coming in for support as well. The trade's working in their favour. The USP just pulling them apart. Shabby doubles down, and just like that, is left to Dino and LTH to try and at least find a bomb plant to give Slugs Black an opportunity going forward.
That's the danger when you have so many players going through that underpass. It can be a tricky one when someone's just holding that window. Joke was there to shut things down before getting traded out himself. Lith and Dino both remaining as they try to open up. Dino falls, Lith gets the trade onto Shabby, but it's all for nothing as Spacers is there to finish off the job. Portsmouth Paladins will be taking that opening round, and, well, if last game's anything to go off, they're going to be looking good going forward. A decent economy and a good economy on CT side almost feels more important than on T side because you can just post up, use that util, and delay the push as long as possible.
Yeah, nice start. Portsmouth Paladins, CT side, as expected. And I think the biggest factor was those opening kills working in their favour. When you have such a significant man advantage, on a pistol round, it's normally going to play into your favour. The post one not able to be set up, and now they're left with a double AK setup, 1 Galil, double Eagle, and it's asking a lot, especially when the M4A1Ss have that range.
Oh, look at this, though. The smoke's all down the middle. It looks like the early game push is going to be coming out from Slugs Black here. As you can see, Spacers going for the spray through the smoke. It isn't able to connect, as the window should be getting smoked off soon enough. No, it's actually Connector that's going to be the first thing to go. Shabby holding it as Joke just holds back a little bit further. Shabby, the only player really in a position to try and defend mid at the moment. HNT gets ready to walk up through the middle. Shabby, fully flashed, but still finds the headshot. Beautiful opening there for Portsmouth Paladins. Joke spins out wide, takes down Lil Faith and Lith as well. It's all down to Shin-Chan to try and remain. Found an opening, but not for long. Spacers is there to shut things down. Portsmouth Paladins starting out strong.
Yeah, nice start. Expected start, you can say, of course, with the opening round going in their favour. Just a little tad higher in terms of firepower in their favour. The double AKs had potential, but just not quite good enough when it came down to it. So just like that, 2-0 start, and Slugs Black is back to the drawing board. Low buy coming forward. They're just going to try and stick around that 2k mark with the pistols coming in, and the Eagle's going to try and find something in their favour. It's actually MP9 going aggressive. Shabby finds one, looks for the second, but then unable to connect, in fact. Shin-Chan, at least for the trade, takes the MP9, full blind, and Joke comes in for support. Comfortable clean up, and these pistols are just being whittled away now.
Well, Joke, clearly Valorant had some form of success for him as he's already fragging out so far. 5 kills in the first 2 rounds and looking to keep stacking those up as the final 2 Slugs Black players move through Palace. Pencheng just going to be holding on that A site, ready for the push to come through. Obviously, Paladin's going to be lacking a lot of info. He's actually looking over towards Connector, so may be caught off guard here by the players who drop down, but as the audio cue comes out, he goes to the peak. Beautiful headshot there to be able to take down HNT. It's all down to Dino, but as Joke comes round the back, well, Portsmouth Paladins 3-0, and Joke with some serious frags to go alongside it.
Yeah, you can say that again. That's a really, really nice start, it has to be said. 3-0, things looking very, very good. And the biggest factor is denying that bomb going down means that Slugs Black, long-term economy-wise, not really the most comfortable. It's okay in terms of they'll be able to pick themselves up there. The quintuple AK, which, as expected, Portsmouth Paladins, they started to look very, very confident indeed.
Well, considering they weren't a team that I believe even took part last split, they're looking really confident. Penchain will fall, though, as does Joke, so maybe now that Slugs have themselves that equipment to work with, they're starting to look a little bit stronger. The AK is clearly paying big as Lil Faith just holds the window, waiting for that smoke to clear to maybe spot out Spacers, who has been tagged a little bit low, only has the AWP right now, so not ideal for those close-range fights. Pinu, however, is going to be watching the cross, actually finds some decent damage with the MP9, but no kill connect. Spacers watches towards ramp, and well, that's unfortunate. Nice little headshot, though, coming out from Dino, and Slugs looking like they should be able to get the first round on the board at this rate.
Well, bomb gonna go down. He saw Shabby trying to tap away. Dropped by Shinchan, and the MP9 left all alone. Pinio able, or unable, may I say, to find anything more. Slugs Black on the board finally, 3-1, and all it took was a much more comfortable 4-buy. The quintuple AKs come forward. The firepower made all the difference, and a nice execute on towards the late side. Once they got that bomb down as well, the post blast was so deep, there was nothing the rotating CT could do. Paladins, for them, left nothing.
I mean, you mentioned last game, look, it's kind of understandable that you lose the pistol round, you lose 3 rounds. That's exactly what happened. Slugs Black's clearly showing that, okay, just because we lost the pistol doesn't mean we can't start to make a comeback right now. As Joke maybe gets a little bit over-aggressive and a little bit overconfident, he will get caught with a headshot and punished. But Shabby is there to find the trade, as it is a 4v4 situation right now. HNT, though, he got tagged extremely low, finished off with the headshot. Lil Faith, Dino each find themselves a kill, but as Leth falls, it is a 2 versus 2. They're going to try and consolidate over towards that bomb, as Lil Faith needs to pick it up quickly. Pencheng watches out, goes to the spray, but it doesn't connect. Lil Faith is the one to find it. It's all down to Pinu with the deagle in hand, and Slugs Black, well, they may have conceded 3 rounds, but it looks like they're going to try and get a second on the board pretty quickly here.
I think regardless of how this round plays out, even if Slugs Black pick it up, it's a real misstep from them. This has been made very, very expensive so far, and the fact that they've only got 2 remaining players against what was 4 deagles and 1 rifle, right? It makes quite the worrying step looking forward. It's very, very expensive in that sense, but bomb goes down. Pinio making that rotate come forward. In towards connection moves, but something below Faith. Comfortable, clean up. Slugs Black pick up a second, but with only 2 remaining players. Very well done in that sense for Portsmouth Paladins with a low buy.
Yeah, I mean, Portsmouth Paladins, they started off really aggressively and they got very confident, and I think they're starting to get punished for that now, so maybe needing to slow things down a little bit. They will still be able to get a fairly decent buy-in. Sure, they're lacking a little bit on the utility front, but they still have the smokes. They're still going to be able to block out those lines of sight. Spacers is going to be watching. Hops up onto the window in case of a Molotov, but it's not going to land. It is a smoke instead. Big sprays coming through as Joe just holds that short angle. Dino playing cautiously as I think Slugs are maybe expecting the Paladins to overextend here like they did in the previous round.
Yeah, they're expecting it. Are they going to get it is the question. Again, slower tempo style of play coming forward. And the AWP in the hands of Pechan could be the difference maker here. Whether we're going to find that is, well, something. Pinu, aggressive in towards apartments. A lot of information gained, but doesn't want to overextend. Spots the leg, but LTH finds the kill somehow.
This is a big opening here for Slugs Black as they manage to take down one player. Joke is going to be there to get the trade, but surely he's giving away the audio cue right now. Going to try and look up through the smoke as Shabby sneaks around the back. And Slugs, well, it looked like they were going to full commit onto B. They've completely switched it up right now. They are playing 4D chess right now, staying 2 steps ahead at all times as Dino, well, he's a bit more aggressive with things. Hangs around B to make some noise. He gets himself a kill. And now as he throws out the util, it's maybe going to trick the Paladins into thinking it is a B push, but by this point, the rest of Slugs, they've already consolidated onto a site with a 2-man advantage here. They are looking so strong. Shin-Chan just watching through to window and is able to take down Spacers, but as Lil Faith goes down in the trade, it does leave Slugs in not really an ideal position. 2 players down to low HP. Joke tries to land the tap fire, but as the head comes over, he hits the wall bank, almost finds the second, but not to be. His Joke just hanging back a little bit now.
Yeah, of course. In a 1 versus 2, this becomes very, very tough. Needs an ace in the round, in fact. We'll tap it, but the question is, kit in hand, is he going to have enough time? Swinging back forward, finding one more, and has a sneaking suspicion of whether he's posted up. The swing needs to come imminently, and of course, Joke, just not enough time. Head spotted out, but will fall away. Over towards that CT side, and actually falling to the bomb. Slugs Black. Much better round from them, and hello, back to us.
Yeah, back to us. We're just having a little bit of a technical issue, so we're going to try and get that sorted as soon as possible. But really impressive there from Joe to be able to pick up those kills. Not getting them round, Slugs Black will tie it up 3-3 apiece. But it shows that the Paladins do have that fragging power, and they need to make it happen. So Shin-Chan is going to try and move through, but it's Lil Faith this time that opens up spaces, consistently getting aggressive over at that window, finally seemingly getting punished.
Yeah, so far it's been the real standout player, has to be said, Lil Faith. Consistently finding himself opening kills and so much space to work with. But look at this Shin-Chan, oh yeah, the flashbang working in his favour, but Joke just swings in front of it, finds himself one, and brings it back to at least the 3 versus 4. Still, the man advantage kept by the T side, and they're looking to use it as the catalyst to, well, for them, their first winning round, and Dino making it look easy. Doubles down, it's all down to 1 man. We've sung his praises, Joke, but this is maybe a task too high.
He's already picked up a 4K this game. Let's see if he can maybe do the same again. It's going to be a tricky one. Flashbang is out as now Slugs Black, they all just take control of that B site. I mean, Joke, he saved himself a weapon last game. Is it really the play to do it twice in a row? Maybe just go in, try and make it, as you said, an expensive round for Slugs, but their economy right now is just in such a good situation. I don't think they can really do anything. A Joke, he does fall. The AUE is the weapon that gets the kill, and now the Paladins in a bit of a rough spot economically. They may decide to go for another Rico before going for the buy, but it looks like as the AUE is bought, they are just going to commit to it, realizing it's a 1-round difference, and the potential is 1 round, they tie things up, and then they start that momentum and the uphill battle.
4-3, Slugs Black, they've gone from 3-0 down to clawing themselves in front by 1. Of course, the biggest factor is they're winning the battle of the economy. They're long-term for them, really built up. So it's something which is going to ease their mind a little bit, not something you have to worry about. Allows them sort of that fluidity to play with, which is definitely going to play into Porta Paladins. Hence why we start to see, even this, for example, very, very passive in their nature, because they know a loss round here, back to the drawing board, back to a double eco.
Cheng opens up, nicely done onto Dino, but is going to be caught with the flashbang as now Slugs looks like they do want to go for the plant as soon as possible. Space is going to be opening up, taken down low. Is Joke also going to be eliminated? Shabby just holding that angle, expecting players to push out of Palace though to follow that Molotov. That's exactly what happened. Lil Faith, that's the AUE taken out of it. It is going to be a 4 versus 2, and Shin-Chan is down to very low HP, but as HNT hasn't been spotted, he's able to get the knock over on Spaces because of it. Pacheng is there for the headshot, takes down HNT as Shin-Chan finds the trade. Going to try and move over to safety, but the bomb's down on a site. It's not been planted, but it means that Shin-Chan has to push and get aggressive, which is easier said than done when you're on 11 health.
Exactly, this is asking a lot. A 1 versus 2, and at the best, this is asking for something glorious to work in his favour. That's not going to happen. Pacheng closed it down, and 4-4. This game's tied up again. This game already starting off significantly more evenly than our first best of 1 did.
It's what you like to see. No team just taking a lead and running off with it. Things are tied, and well, as soon as it looked like Slugs Black had that momentum, the Paladins were there to slow things down. Shabby, oh dear, that's not ideal, as ends up mollying themselves. Not great. Going to be forced to move back, and it may open something up down mid for Slugs Black, but doesn't look like they are going to be peeking it as Lil Faith sneaks in towards B. It might be a sign of a B execute if they find this opening kill on to Pinu.
Well, so far, Pinu absolutely deleting Lil Faith, and he expected himself to be in the sort of a primary angle there. Guess domed.
Really nice to see, as now Slugs Black, well, they seem a little bit nervous. They've lost a player, which is, I might be wrong, but it seems like Slugs have been getting the opening kill the past couple rounds now, and I think that's been a big contributing factor to their win, finding an opening kill, forcing the Paladins to push an area, and then completely duking them and doing a 180 round the back of the map. But now, as they tie things up, they're going to look for yet another kill to start with that momentum. It's a word we mentioned so much tonight, as Joe lays slow in the corner. He finds an opening kill, but Lith is there for the trade. Pacheng there also trying to watch out from Ticket Booth as the nade comes through. Paladins forced to play slow, as Slugs, they've moved on to site, and the plant might just come out.
Plant the priority. Set up that post plant. Try to, and oh, what a swing. Shin-Chan just deletes Pinu, and of course, catching a player in transition is huge. AK trying to find one of the close angle, as Pacheng answers back and leaves it all down to LTH. A quad kill to his name needed to find something. It's just beautiful. Spots one, but will he be able to deny the bomb being defused? Holding it, time's of the essence. Spotting one, swinging in, finds it. AK collected, and LTH just staying alive now. Bomb tapped again, but he's got the assumption that they're not still on it.
Paladins, no, what were they doing? They had no idea of what was going on. Shabby was able to get the revive, but that was such a dangerous game to be playing there. Slugs with the trigger discipline, sneak round the back and almost take the round because of it. But in the end, Paladins will get that diffuse, sticking it. A lot of confidence coming out from Shabby there to hold it to the very last second.
That's huge, and of course, I mean, nerves of steel. Just stick a defuse in that situation when the player is dancing around triple. I mean, credit's due. Paladins 5-4, gain a 1-round lead, but it's a tentative 1-round lead. The only saving grace for them, you could say, is that there's a deagle in HNT's hands, but that's the same for Spacers.
You kind of hope, for the sake of Paladins now, they can take this round or at least do some damage, because the economy isn't great for Slugs Black, but the opening 2 kills are found by Slugs Black. Joe is there to get the trade without taking any damage, but through the smoke, Lil Faith finds the headshot, and, well, as soon as one team gets themselves around, another one is there to claw it back. Slugs Black, seemingly, once they find the opening kill, there's no stopping them. Portsmouth Paladins going to be forced for the retake, because Shabby may be moving back for an M4 or something, but instead going all the way to A site, looking like they want to save it.
Save call would be the smart decision here. Of course, in a 2 versus 4, the bomb so far ticked. The smarter way to play, but I say that, Shabby finds himself one, catching the player over towards short, and the question is, will Pechang be able to fall away? Oh, dropping that orb. That's a very overzealous peak, which didn't need to be made there. In that sort of situation, just save the orb. It's such an expensive investment. And having an orb M4A1S into that next round is not the end of the world. It's a silver lining to a bad sort of performance in round number 10. But losing that orb, I mean, that is just brutal. And maybe, well, not even maybe, it is a misplay.
I like what the player from Slugs did, though. Went for that jiggle peek, baited out the AWP shot, and then as soon as they had that info that the player was still there, went for the repeat, found the headshot, and beautifully done to find the kill. And that'll deny Paladins quite a bit right now, as they only have one M4 going into the next round. They're going to be forced to play maybe a little bit stacked up towards A site. Sure, they still have Pecheng watching on B, but as the push comes through, it might end up working out perfectly. Those players down below, Spaces is going to be able to find one with the headshot. He's traded out immediately by Shin-Chan as LFH and Lil Faith both finding a kill apiece. There's only 2 players left here from Portsmouth Paladins, but Joe managed to get himself an AK and found himself a frag out of it. Sure, Paladins lost the round, but they took down 2 players. That'll help the economy, and we should see them buy this round.
Yeah, we should do as well. A much better round. Still a 1-round lead for Slugs Black, 6-5, a tentative one at that, but a full buy coming out both ways. They made it expensive, a good start from Spaces. Didn't expect the double stack as well with Joke on the wards again, on towards that Pilot's position. Plus Slugs Black, 6-5, 1 round ahead with a decent, as we mentioned already, that long-term economy still working in their favour. They could just play calm and collected.
Spaces there, doing what he can to try and spam through. It's Shabby, though, that's able to find the opening kill onto Lil Faith. Spaces did move back. No real surprise. He could have got severely punished by Shinchan if he overextended any longer, but going to be moving back through short, as it looks like the B execute is on track to be the plan from Slugs Black. Once again, they have conceded a player early, but it feels like if they can find themselves a kill and carry on that momentum, then Slugs can take the round. But so far, it's felt like the past couple rounds, or the majority of the rounds so far, have come down to who's got that opening kill.
That's been the biggest catalyst, I think. And the man advantage, they seem to just, when needed most, just default back to that trade game, which so far has been working out, but long term might be a question mark, because it's not always going to play out in that sense. We occasionally see, you know, we call them life rounds, as you do, and it won't be good enough just playing the trade game. But so far, so good. CT side of Porter Paladins got that man advantage and significantly slowed down the tempo now.
Yeah, absolutely. You can already see Slugs playing a little bit differently, but as they go for the peek through Connect, you've got to think things are about to change. Spaces has been not only smoke, but also flash. They have the info the players are going to be pushing through. Shabby holding on to the site, maybe expecting players to come up ramp, but no, they now have the info. The Shabby, Spaces, Pachang all going to find themselves a kill. Spaces finds a second, and well, there it is. It ties things up yet again. This is looking to be an extremely close match now, closer than we maybe expected. Slugs seemingly a team that, at least from my experience, I haven't seen too much out of, but showing that they are a real contender in the new CSGO winter split.
Yeah, exactly that. 6-6. They're really pushing Portsmouth the distance here so far. And again, we're seeing a bit of a mixed buy coming off from the C side. The Khalil sporting double AK and AUE supporting a single Deagle. So it's actually a big variation, but a full investment, to say the least.
Yeah, absolutely. The AUE shots do come through, but nothing really connecting. Maybe just a bit of a peacock play, making some noise, saying, look, we've got an AUE, we're not afraid, we're not limited on that utility. But Joe, well, he isn't shaken by it, and ice in his veins, able to connect with the headshot. Nicely done. The smoke is there, lands directly on that Molotov, so we'll break the line of sight for now. Flashbangs do start to come over mid. Spaces has been smoked off. LSH starts to move through a little bit further. Spaces just waiting. Wants to continue to play that mid window, and just going to wait for that smoke to dissipate before he does.
Yeah, slow down tempo, wait, as you mentioned, for that smoke to dissipate, and of course, off the back of it, try to find something. Uncharacteristic miss, in fact, and LTH just going to now fall away. Doesn't need to overextend, but I say that's a beautiful flash. Space find one, made that two as well. What a swing. What a find. Just left Slugs Black in a tough position. Dino tried to make his way in towards sight ever so slowly, but gets caught out in transition. And it's looking like it could be a flawless 7th on the board for the Paladins, unless Shinchan can do something monumental here.
Well, got the bomb. That's a positive at least, but Spaces, well, he's got the headshot. Lots of decent kills coming out from Spaces that round. That was a 3K for him. Really impressive to see, considering for the majority of that round he was down to low HP. Pompey now taking the lead just before the halfway points. They are burning through that cash. They want to be at the upper hand. So many AKs, so much util, so much armor, and of course that AWP, whereas, well, exactly the opposite being said for Slugs here. As Lil Faith wants to find an opening. You can see, though, oh, the AK is posted up. The Molotov 2. Joke takes down one, followed by a second. Pino is eliminated in the trade, but Joke now doing so much damage. That's a 3K. Surely he can't make it a 4. Yes, he can. Can he ace it out? Not to be, as Dino finds the trade, but Spaces immediately there. That is it for the half, pretty much. We know that Pompey Paladins are going to be moving through with the advantage into the second half. The question is, how much by?
Yeah, that's the biggest question. They've guaranteed themselves a lead heading in. Can they double it down, make it a 9-6 half? And of course, at the back of it, a real comfortable sort of gap, a comfortable bridge, you could say, heading into that pistol round. Flash coming in towards mid. Eagerly coming forward. Shabby finds one. Look for the second. Will connect. In fact, swinging in one by one, gifting away 3 kills, makes it a quad kill. It's all down to one man, and Dino unable to convert. They try to step up that tempo, and they get punished for it. It's a 9-6 half, and regardless of how the pistol round plays out, Paladins are in a strong position heading into the second half, heading into their T side.
Credit to him for trying. That's all I can say. Sometimes when you are in that final round, you realize, okay, we got nothing to lose. Let's just go for the send and try and make something happen. This time, though, for Slugs Black, it just wasn't enough. Portsmouth Paladins, a 3-round advantage going onto that T side, but We spoke earlier, you know, CT side is what you really want on this map if you're a disciplined team and you can play slow. We'll
Yeah.
see how effective Slugs can really be on that CT side now that the time has come.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to see how things play out. Pistol around a big deciding factor, and that's a brilliant start from the T side. Joke again coming up huge. I think just elite Shinchan, and they make their way forward. LTH will onto back, though, bring it back to the 4 versus 4. That's a sumptuous one-tap.
Really nicely done there from LTH. Can he follow it up with a second? Doesn't look like it as the fire gets returned. Going to be backing off over to CT. I can't help but notice right now, Slugs, 3 players over in CT spawn. It could open things up here if Portsmouth Paladins do decide to make a crash over towards B site, but it looks like A is going to be the priority. Big headshot lands there onto Lil Faith as he is going to be taken low. Going to be forced off of that position. HNT still anchoring just in case of a rotate coming out, but it doesn't appear to be the case as Portsmouth are committed to connect. Lil Faith still committed to this fight as well, even on low HP, able to take down Shabby. 2 players from Slugs down so low, it'll just take 1 bullet. Even, you know, if they bump their toe a little bit wrong, they'll be taken out of it. But as the flashbang connects, Spaces finds one, followed by the second. 1 more bullet on HNT, and it's all over for him. Slugs Black at a 4-round deficit, and, well, the Paladins got that bomb plant off at the last second.
Yeah, it's a really nice round from the T side. And again, as we spoke about in that prior half, that opening kill, the catalyst worked brilliantly. When Joke found that opening kill into his window, there's so much map control, and all they had to do was play the trade game. That's exactly what they do. Double digits collected, and of course, a nice, comfortable 4-buy coming out for Portsmouth. And Slugs Black left to little to nothing. We're seeing a couple of Eagles come through, a couple of 5.7s of P250, but it's not the easiest buy at all. They've already connected control in their favor. Shabby finds the first, Dino falls, and that crunching towards that ramp position punished.
Really nice to see. Couldn't help but notice there, Joe, with something like a 60% headshot percentage. Really impressive. See, the same being said for HNT, and it shows just the mechanical skill of these players. But can they put it into practice when they have the strategy? Seemingly so. The Spacers and Joke each finding themselves a kill onto Slugs Black, but a beautiful one-tap being found in return. Shinchan showing it's not all over yet. Out comes the Deagle, but not able to connect. The body shots do land as Pinu gets the trade, and well, Portsmouth Paladins starting to carry that momentum over. Is it going to be the same as we saw in previous games where once you've got 1, once you've got 2, it starts to pick up a lot more?
Yeah, 11-6, and of course they're starting to pull away now, getting ever closer to the all-elusive 16, and for Slugs Black, unfortunately, the second part of the double eco coming through. Again, just trying to stick around that 2k mark. A couple of pistols coming through that are upgraded, but it's not going to be the easiest hold at all, especially with Mac 10 running them down. And what they're going to find for the most part is a pretty barren site. USPs left on the site, but easily picked apart. And just like that, Slugs Black are left at 2.
Absolutely, as Dino and Lil Faith do what they can to salvage it. Lil Faith does actually land some nice shots with the Deagle, not conceding any damage, but as Pinu sprays through the smoke, takes down Dino. It's all onto Lil Faith as the final player. Almost connects there with the headshot, and does in the end when Spaces goes for that wide peak. Peppered down low, 25 HP. Goes for the peak, and well, Shabby is there to sponge up the kill. 12 rounds now for Portsmouth Paladins. We thought that it was going to be their CT side where they shined as such a disciplined squad that the Paladins are, but it seems like over on the T side, their aggression is really coming out and able to flex that mechanical skill.
Yeah, they are starting to flex as well, and already that pistol round going in their favor is huge. We'll go for the peek towards those Spaces. This is brilliant, but he's going to be punished. Overextends, maybe a little bit overzealous, hunting for a kill in their favor. And what we're going to find is a man disadvantage now.
Well, this is what we saw from Portsmouth in the first few rounds on the CT half. They managed to pick up a few, they got overconfident, and they got punished. Will that be the case this time around? Well, it looks like it may be. They've lost 2 players, and Shabby's down low. Sure, they managed to get the trade, but Lil Faith finishes off the job there. It's all down to Pacheng and Pinu as they hear the player over on stairs. A headshot actually connects through the smoke. Nicely done. Pinu with the spray eliminates Lil Faith, but it's a 3 versus 2, and one of those Pompey players is down extremely low right now. Shinchan watches out with the AWP on the cross, but as HNT moves back, it might just deny the plant, especially if that nade connects.
Shinchan finds one more in his favor. Now it's left all down to one man, and with 41 points of HP, it's asking a lot, especially with double stacking towards CT. Easy pickings, and Finally, we're starting to see ever so slightly a bit of a resurgence from the CT side. Slugs Black, find themselves a 7th. Of course, keep the main priority weapons like the AWP in play. The question is, can they find consistent, consecutive rounds on the board? Because so far, that's been their biggest issue.
As much as I'm a biased caster and rooting for Portsmouth, I want to see this as a close game because Slugs have shown so much promise in that first half. I want to see them show that it wasn't just the T side where they made magic happen, and it seems like after that round they know how to play a CT side, and it's taken Pompey back a little bit. You can see that they have slowed down. I say that, and immediately Shabby goes for a really aggressive peek. Does take a lot of damage to those HE grenades, and well, Shinchan is there on the cross with the AWP to find the kill. It's a 1-for-1 trade, and the Pompey players still looking strong. Flashbang down the middle, as it seems they don't really have any idea. Maybe Lil Face will be able to hear the footsteps, as now he does. Hears them creeping up. He's going to go for the peek, surely, and get aggressive, but no, holding that trigger discipline. But Punish has the info, calls it to the team. Spacers takes down Shinchan. It's down to a 2 versus 4, and maybe the trigger discipline being the downfall here of Slugs.
On a miss shot from Dino as well makes all the worse. Make that second, in fact. And he's now so isolated, falling away over towards that CT position. LTH coming in for support, but these two guys now have got a real mammoth of a task to try and find in their favour. The A site completely in favour of the Paladins to get that bomb down. LTH as well going for the aggressive peek, in fact. Will they be able to find anything is the big question. And I think already we are just going to see Slugs Black just fall away. Keep hold of what they can. That open AK, a very expensive investment, especially when we take a look at their long-term economy being middling to say the least. Keep hold of what they got.
Dino, $50 to work with, not ideal. Is going to try and back off, moving to B site, but look at this from Pompey. They still want the kills. They're going to move through a little bit further as Spacers goes through market, doing his best to try and clear through. Has an idea there is going to be a player somewhere nearby, opens up, but it's LTH that's actually there to find the headshot. Spacers out of it, and while Slugs Black, they do remain in it. Portsmouth, 3 players strong, and they carry that AWP over to the next round. If they can take another round, you got to think the Paladins, well, their economy is going to be looking so good.
Yeah, it's going to look brilliant. 13-7 though, Portsmouth Paladins, they are 3 rounds away from closing this one out in quite a significant fashion. Since stepping onto their T side, they seem to be somewhat unstoppable so far. Space is going for the boost in towards round, trying to find something. A missed shot, in fact. And a Shinchan opens things up. Slugs Black. They've taken him out of advantage, and a dink on towards Spacers too.
For a minute, I thought it was Spacers that was able to get the kill, but not to be. Instead, it was Shinchan who did it and, well, took down one. Spacers falls as well. That's the AWP out of play for Portsmouth Paladins. Well, Shinchan has one of their own. Just going to play slow, and we mentioned so many times how that opening kill has led to the round win. You got to feel like getting the opening 2 without even taking any damage from the Paladins has to be good for Slugs Black. The smoke is there underneath stairs. It will give Portsmouth the info that there's a player down below the stairs. Joke peeks out, gets aggressive, finds the headshot onto Dino. They start to equalize things a little, but until they've got that second kill, well, Slugs still have the advantage.
Yeah, so far so good. Faith holding into stairs as well. Keeping that man advantage and everything so far. You can give Portsmouth Paladins the space. But I'm going to go planted as well. In towards that smoke, and it's from above. Lil Faith finds one on the stairs. Now, of course, they're capitalizing, and they leave it all in the hands of Joe. Will find himself at the very least one, but taking quite a significant amount of damage when I say this. And he very nearly was able to turn that into something. Or too many players Slugged Black answer back. 13-8, deficit to 5.
Gotta give Joe his credit. When it comes to mechanical skill, he is popping off today. Serious frags on the board for the squad. But they need to convert it into more round wins, and if Slugs are able to keep getting that opening kill, then you've got to feel like they're going to carry over that momentum, because we mentioned it so many times, when they find that opening kill, it feels like they're just able to take the round out of it. The double AWP setup coming out from Slug shows a certain level of confidence as well. Portsmouth Paladins going to be going for more of an eco round.
Yeah, that's exactly what we want to see here. Just the low buy from them. 1 back 10 coming out in the hands of Joe, supported by the quad and the Eagles. It's not the best, but I guess it's better than nothing, right? They have potential to at least make this expensive. Shinchan will spot himself 1. Spaces falls, and of course already starting to very comfortably show how the firepower makes all the difference. As it's left down to 2.
Yep, Joke, Shabby, the final two remaining players as well. Slugs have just absolutely cleaned up that round. There's no other way to put it. Joke is going to be chilling in the corner, and Shin-Chan whiffs the shot. Can Joke salvage it? Yes, he can. That will take an AWP out of play, but you got to think that LTH or the teammate are going to be able to pick it up, and yes, they can. Remaining with the double AWP setup here for Slugs Black. It's worked out for them so far. The question is now, maybe Portsmouth Paladins can take those closer range fights, and it could change the tide of the fight. But once again, they go for the eco, Deagles, and a scout.
Yeah, of course. It was the expected buy, right? The second part of the double eco, the scout coming through. Shabby trying to find something over towards that stairs position, trying to catch someone in transition, and it does actually connect. Shin-Chan takes a bit of damage, a little bit of a leg coming forward. Not the end of the world, especially with the AWP in play. And Deagle trying to connect. But at range, it's HNT from short who finds him out. And already, one by one, Portsmouth Paladins are being chipped away, falling like dominoes, and I think this is going to be a Slugs Black 10th.
Yeah, it's a theme, isn't it? When they find that opening kill, they can usually take the round. But we'll see what Portsmouth Paladins are able to do with those Deagles. We've seen the mechanical skill from this squad, and well, all it takes is one headshot, and that'll eliminate a player. But the AWP's still in hand as Dino peeks out. He's got himself the info, playing slow. As Pencheng, what was that? Goes for the 1D, nicely done from him to get that kill, but maybe it's all for nothing with 50 seconds on the clock and the man advantage going in the way of Slugs Black.
Yeah, of course, now they've very much slowed down this tempo. The T side trying to make something work in their favour. 40 seconds to work with. They've still got time in their essence. But for the time being, time remains their friend. The longer they leave it, becomes their enemy. And this is what we're seeing. LTH picks away one. Petcheng, you got off to a pretty good start with a beautiful Deagle. Similar to that. Does in fact cause an issue. Smoking towards CT, Molotov in towards connector. Bomb still lost. So that's the biggest question mark. And the priority theme seems to be making things expensive.
Yeah, Shabby needs to get out here, get some kills for the squad.
Okay.
That's exactly what happens. The no-scope headshot is found. 10 seconds remaining on the clock. No chance to get in the plant right now, but maybe going to be able to salvage a kill or two. No! Lith is there with the headshot. Shabby falls, and well, Slugs got the round win, but it was an expensive round for them. It won't affect them too much in terms of the economy, but if that's what Pompey could do with Deagles, now that they're back up to a full buy, you've got to be a little bit concerned.
Yeah, to the least, right? The fullback coming forward, the quintuple AK's coming out, and the biggest factor for me is the substantial amount of utility. But so far, we're talking about utility. That is significant missed utility for Slugs Black. An airburst Molotov and a completely missed HE. Just a waste of money, really. As the ramp control is, for the most part, relinquished in favour of the CT side, fortunately for them.
HNT trying to scout out now, maybe not realizing that Portsmouth have all of their players over on this angle as Pencheng able to take down Lil Faith. The incendiary comes out from HNT at an unfortunate time, but is able to get the kill. LTH takes down Joke as Shabby immediately gets the trade, but HNT still holding the bench down to 6 HP. One bullet, one HE grenade will do it. There's Dino in the end who's going to be able to find it. Shin-Chan lands the AWP shot, but as Pencheng lands the HE, Shin-Chan yet again with the AWP cleans it up, and well, Slugs back. They're clawing the rounds back. They're closing the distance and willing to put up a serious fight.
They're starting to actually step this up. A 2-round deficit, I always say, is very, very uncomfortable, especially because all it takes is one broken economy. And that's what we see. Portsmouth Paladins left again with that similar buy of just these scout coming through, supported by upgraded pistols, and I mean, it's not the most comfortable to say the least. Smoking towards shorts and Shin-Chan all he needs to do is hold. He finds himself one, spots a second, in fact, as a Molotov comes in towards the L plan. Already things looking brilliant for the CT side. It's the firepower, again, making all of that difference.
Looked for a second like he was going to be able to find both of them with the AWP. That would have been amazing to see, but not to be. His Joke there takes down Dino. Lil Faith caught in the pinch. Pencheng takes him down. Portsmouth, they got the opening kills and they're continuing to stack up more, but you can't forget the fact that they have lost 2 of their own. The damage also going in favor of Slugs Black. As 2 players hold ticket booth, we may see Paladins switch up to B, but it looks like they're full committed here as Pencheng holds that ticket booth, applying the pressure. It will allow that player to come in from behind and get the plant down, but as Spacer spots out one, he's only got the scout. He has to land the headshots if he wants to find the kills.
Has to as well. I mean, it's easier said than done, say the least, especially in a man disadvantage. But the T side to at least get the post plant. No way, surely not like this. Eagle repositioning will be able to connect, and HNT finds them both, clutches it out in the 1 versus 2, comes up huge, and Slugs Black make this a 1-round affair, but that became very, very close.
We talk about expensive rounds. That was one of them, but as much as we say expensive, look at the economy on the side of Slugs Black right now. And obviously, Portsmouth Paladins able to get the bomb down. It will put them in a pretty good financial situation as they get themselves a buy. And, well, as long as they're able to salvage a couple kills, they should be set for a buy next round. They may have to drop their teammates' guns, but still better than nothing. Portsmouth Paladins still a round in hand as the util all starts to come out. It seems like Pompey want to get a bit more aggressive than they have in the past few.
Yeah, Dino going in for this connector control, trying to at least find himself a little bit of something. He's going to be left relatively isolated here, but holding into this side of the smoke can actually make this work in his favor. Got short control in that sense, but will reposition as he just wants to take a little bit of a step away.
I don't like this from Portsmouth. They got 4 players down in mid. All it's going to take is one of the Slugs Black players to peek through window, and they could be in trouble. But as Joke moves up round the back, it's Shin-Chan who sneaks up through Palace to take down Shabby. It's going to make it a little nerve-wracking now as well. Joke, he tries to push up, caught in the pinch. Bencheng there for the trade, but immediately caught with the headshot himself. Pinu does the job, and while Slugs have that player advantage, you can't forget just how low Pinu actually is. Goes for the jump. I like to see it. It looks like his teammate Spacers struggled the first time around, going for the push, but of course LTH is going to be holding it. The AWP is in hand, but no! The shot's whiffed, unfortunately, and that ties things up for Slugs and Portsmouth.
13-13, and we said that, you know, maybe the way things started out in this game, this one could be slightly more one-sided in that sense, but not at all. These two sides seem to be, for the most part, on very, very even standing. But again, we're starting to see that CT side dominance come through. That played a big part in that opening best of one. This jump on forward from Shin-Chan. We'll reposition in towards lower, looking for an opportunity in that sense, playing anti-flash, and then we'll repeat to gain comfortability over that underpass control.
This is how you know there's frustration coming out, when it's just a full B-rush coming out from Portsmouth Paladins. Joke falls, and that throws them into a bit of disarray, seemingly, as Paladins look a bit confused on how they actually want to play it. HNT does take out Bencheng, but Space is there for the trade. Pinu takes down LTH after losing yet another player. Double AWP now. Is it ideal for a situation like this, where the players are on site, but they haven't got the plant down? Pinu still holding short, expecting the peak, as he probably should, because 2 of those Slugs players are starting to get very close. Shabby, though, sneaking around the back, wants to go for the peak and nearly gets punished, but no, Lil Faith can't land the shot, and now the AWP goes in favor of Portsmouth Paladins. The smoke is up, and this is the perfect chance for them to get the plant.
Yeah, bomb down, set up the post bomb, and now the pressure changes hands. You know, it was for Portsmouth Paladins to get that bomb planted, to try and give themselves a window of opportunity. Now they've got it. For Slugs, they need to try and find their way back in, and of course they've got to try and dismantle this post plant that's set up. This retake is tough, especially in the 2-2 situation. This shot from Shabby could leave him exposed, but luckily Pinu comes in for support. He's all down to one man. Shin-Chan in a 1 versus 2 to deny Portsmouth Paladins a 14th on the board here.
So they've got the info. Shabby knows where the player is. Pinu just going to be playing a little bit slower and allows the player to move out in almost on purpose. The Shabby just holds the window, finds the headshot, finds the kill. Portsmouth Paladins, they do finally get another round on the board, taking that round lead. And, well, they just need another one to at least guarantee themselves an overtime and 2 more for the game.
So I see that, 14-13, ever so close to closing this one out now. Full by both ways, the only real question mark is that MP9 in Dino's hands. But aggressive bit of control in his favor could work. As the MP9 is post up on the other side of ramp, 1 pop flash, and this could be a couple of kills in his favor.
Dino in a nasty little off angle right here. If Portsmouth Paladins don't check it, he could cause some problems. That MP9 is dangerous to say the least at this kind of range, but as Shin-Chan was taken down low, it will weaken Slugs a little. The most important thing, and we keep mentioning this, no opening kills being found, as that usually gives us an indicator of who the favorite's going to be going into the later stages of the round. But Shin-Chan taken down low, it will just take 1 more bullet, and then things go in the way of Pompey. But right now, nothing coming of it. The smoke's coming out. Finally, it feels like we're going to see an actual execute from a team, as we haven't seen too much of them tonight. The smokes land onto a site. Now is the time for the Paladins to push.
you know, repositioning, but it's caught by a flashbang and actually just going to fall away. They've sort of double stacked in this close position. They're going to play the crossfire coming in. Dino finds the trade. That's all he needs to do. MP9 in hand, but the trade is brilliant from Spaces. The T-side take the man advantage with significant damage done for Shin-Chan. It's going to be enough for at least a bit of a damage and denying that bomb going down.
Really nicely done to be able to get the trade, but it is a 2 versus 2. The bomb is in hand. They should be able to get the revive as LTH moves back. Wants to actually push with their teammate to make the push in. As now LTH and HNT start to close in towards this position. Connector has been mollied as the frag grenade came through as well. Spacers up in Palace. It's a risky position to be playing here. May not get the full line of sight until the player's already peeked out into the open. The position has been spotted out. Those Spacers taken down low. Smoke gonna come through, gonna be forced to move out of here, but no, HNT finds the headshot. Shabby takes the single fire over towards the player, lands the headshot and the double spray. That at least confirms overtime for Pompey. They're gonna be looking for the win in this final round though.
And the biggest factor, of course, of all of that, you know, 15 rounds collected, you've got yourself a 2-round advantage. That means nothing. The biggest thing is Slugs Black have nothing in the economy. A double MP9, triple Deagle, and a very, very small amount of utility to work with. Things are not looking good, and already, big flash coming forward. Headshot trying to go aggressive and fights off one. Lil Faith will be dropped out of the equation. Man advantage collected, and looking to double it down, which he won't be able to, because the MP9 causing problems, and make that multiple.
That was massive with the MP9 right there, and I was gonna say it could almost work out perfectly for Slugs Back because they're going with those close range weapons. Pompey got so aggressive early that the MP9 nearly shut things down. They need to get the bomb plant because we've seen how effective they can be once that post-plant scenario starts to open up. The bomb is down. It leaves 40 seconds left for Portsmouth to defend the site. If they can just provide that pressure, then it's gonna deny Slugs from really moving out. But LTH just spotted out just the head moving from one. Decided not to take the shot, probably a smart move as the nade comes over. Spacers down to just 1 HP, but has the AK in hand. It's HNT that falls. Spacers goes down as well. And while we're not going to overtime just yet, it's certainly looking like a serious possibility.
That's brilliant. The nade, stay alive, Spacers. Even that was fortunate. 1 point of HP. But 14 to 15, Slugs Black lives the end of the day, and they do it with such a poor buy. And of course, on top of that, they pick themselves up 2 AKs coming into round number 30. We're playing at the full 30 of regulation. And as we spoke about, the question is now, overtime or not?
Good question. We'll find out soon enough as well. It's a best of 1, so it's not exactly like we could just skip over and say, oh, we'll just play another map. No, it is time for these teams to shine, and Shin-Chan doing exactly that. Takes down Spacers as Choke falls as well. As we've spoken so much about momentum tonight, it seemed like Portsmouth have just had theirs completely shut down. Slugs Back trying to regain it as Pinu moves up to the mid. Only 3 players remain from Portsmouth, and you know what we've been saying all game about that opening kill.
Yeah, that opening kill makes all the difference. It seems to have significantly, time and time again, been the catalyst to a round working in their favour, and this is what we're seeing. And of course, now, question marks have to start being asked. The 2 remaining Portsmouth Paladins players with everything here if they want to, well, deny overtime and find this map in regulation. And they're not going to be given that space. Little Faye finds herself one, and he's all down to one. Shabby, an ace needed to clutch this one out.
Not ideal. 1 player left up. Gonna have to ace out if they want to take this game in regulation time, but it isn't looking promising as now LTH starts to move up over to the truck, ready for the peak, expecting a player to be here almost. I don't think that Slugs have seen the bomb yet, so they know this player has the bomb and can really go for anything, so it's not like they can just start sweeping all of a sudden. Shabby is watching over towards short, but no matter as LTH is there to find the headshot. And there it is. It's going to overtime. We thought that the first game was going to end up going to overtime. Weren't expecting this one once the momentum started from Portsmouth, but that will be the case.
Momentum's the biggest factor now coming in towards overtime. Slugs Black starting that CT side after a brilliant resurgence. And of course, the biggest thing is doing it flawlessly around number 30 does now make me really start to look over towards Portsmouth Paladins of whether they have it in them, right? They seem to be slightly struggling to say the least, and they're all picked up. This could be the difference maker, especially at range.
Well, I think a big part of this is the fact that both economies have reset now. Teams are able to do pretty much whatever they want coming into this, but Lil Faye's going to be able to somehow sneak up through Palace and eliminate Shabby. The one-way smoke attempt comes out from Shinchan, but a second smoke is going to deny it. So a waste of $300, but still the player advantage goes in the way of Slug Black, which has worked out so well for them so far. Dino holding Connecto as Joke tries to push out. He spots the player short, but he is the only player at B and potentially going to get caught in a pinch here by HNT and LTH, but as he opens up the headshot, that's not looking too lightly. Dino finds Pinu on that connector push as it looks like Portsmouth Paladins wanted to move to B site, but with Shinchan finding the kill, it isn't looking like it's possible.
I don't think it's going to be as well. Now in a 2 versus 4, especially if they've been spotted out. Space is just waiting for an opportunity. And that opportunity has gifted them a 1 versus 2 on the A site, in which Lil Faith, knife out, is just waiting for a bit of a sound cue, which he'll get. Does hear them making their way forward. 40 seconds to work with. Spotting one, drops the bomb in back, and doubling down huge. Lil Faith finds Slugs Black. Their 16th round on the board, a 1-round lead, and an overtime on CT side. What a star.
I can't help but just take a look over at the kills on the board here. You have 1 or 2 players that are just fragging out of their minds right now. 28 kills for 4 different players right now. That is so impressive to watch, showing that, you know, there's always going to be 1 or 2 top fraggers on a team, but if you're able to stick together, then you can take it the distance. Now, though, it looks like Slugs Black are going to have a problem because Dino's AFK.
Yeah, I have a slight feeling that Dino may or may not have timed out. Nobody coming forward. It's not what you want to see, especially in this sort of situation. That's exactly what we are seeing. A tech coming forward. Dino has in fact timed out. That's a very important player to lose as well. So, you know, so far, Dino, while he may not be there in terms of fragging, the impact that he brings to the game has been monumental.
Yeah, should probably point out as well, I did see in chat earlier, like the game chat, which I know people watching can't see, Dino did complain about having, you know, some connection issues, and it appears that that has really had a big effect on him right now as he is forced to time out. It leaves only 1 player left up from Slugs Black. As Dino's out, Portsmouth Paladins maybe going to be thankful that he disconnected, as they will be able to at least secure themselves another round, or will they? As HNT takes down Spaces, tries to spam through the boxes, isn't able to, but there it is, the flick. Shabby's watching the cross, but wow, that was closer than Pompey bargained for.
Yeah, exactly, especially in that sort of, well, 4 versus 5 situation. Begs the question, if Dino was still in the server, could that have played out differently? We will never know. 16-16, tech pause coming through now as well, and well, that's brutal timing for Slugs Black as well, because that was a real good opportunity for them to start running away.
Really not ideal for them, but you know what, Portsmouth, they tied it up, and it's almost what you want to see, going equal for the final for as long as possible. As I am getting word from Slugs Black that apparently LTH is saying maybe a couple minutes. I know that you can't see the game chat, but it looks like it's going to be an internet restart situation here. So hopefully we can get that sorted as soon as possible. We will be in and watching that action. But the question is now, how does that affect the momentum? Because we've spoken about it a lot tonight. Losing a player, it can be a big detriment to the team at times. And, well, if they aren't going to be able to get that player in, I'm not sure what the procedure is, but it can't go well for Slugs.
Yeah, exactly. It can't be what's too good for them. Especially when you take a look at, you know, overall, they were really in control of momentum, really looking very, very comfortable long term. And now Portsmouth have this window of opportunity. It tied up 16-16, and you have to say, I'm really unsure about Slugs Black, their mental game going forward.
Yeah, it's going to be a real tough one. And you got to think as well, even if it's something as small as having to go and restart your router, well, you're taking yourself out of the game. You're losing part of that focus that you had, and you're having to go and deal with other stuff. You're going to be very distracted coming back in, and I do worry a little bit there for Dino how that's going to affect on him. And you got to hope, you know, if they are going to be able to get back in it and get that round on the board, then it will be a big boost for Slugs Black. But at the same time, Pompey aren't going to complain about the fact that one of their players is disconnected and they're distracted, you know. They're going to make the most out of it, and I would honestly expect Portsmouth to come out going into the next round that we play super aggressively to try and almost capitalize on the fact that one of their players is disconnected and maybe going to be a little bit distracted and heated to a certain extent.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing really is that, Portsmouth, they've been given this lifeline, which, you could argue that they weren't really deserving of because they weren't playing well at all prior to that sort of, Dino dropping out. It was really only looking like it was going to be Slugs Black completely consistently finding consecutive rounds on the board because they were in complete control, especially on CT side. They've really sort of formulated a plan to chip away at Portsmouth, and there's nothing that Portsmouth could do in response. And now, of course, they've tied this game up 16-16. Of course, we're looking for 19 as our magic round here to win this one out. But on T side, to pick yourself up around an OT, I mean that is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it says a lot about the teams as well to be able to fight this long and still have, a battle going on. A lot of teams
Mhm.
at this point, you've already played a best of one. Now you're coming into a second one, which has been a very tough match. To be able to keep scrapping it out and go the distance is impressive to see. We may see it go even further than this. Who knows? We could go to a second OT with the way that things are playing out. But I do worry about Portsmouth. They had a good
With
start to
you.
the game. They just need to step things up a little. It does appear like the power is back on for the player. He's booting up his
Okay.
PC now, so he shouldn't be too long to get into the match. Just waiting for him to boot up the game and get back into it. Unfortunate, though, for Dino. Let's hope he can reset things.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Let's hope mentally as well. It's not really tarnished them too much. Of course, those sort of situations, you're just chilling in your room, mid round, just about to start a round, power cuts out. If he kind of fluster you a little bit, really, you kind of lose that focus. And hopefully, it's something in which you can gain immediately coming back into this. Portsmouth
Yeah,
Paladins, they're a side that you want to be picking up points against. Of course, quite the notable side that we spoke about. And for Slugs Black, they were in that driving seat. And the fact that they now sort of have this mishap, which is out of their control, is unfortunate.
yeah, and it's not looking ideal right now as we are just waiting for that final player to get back in. For a minute, I thought that Shin-chan had just disconnected as well, which who knows where things would have gone right there. But we are just waiting. So it is rough, as you said. You can't be getting distracted. You can't be getting tilted, as annoying as it is. But
Mm.
I think it is a good level of professionalism where
Yeah,
if Slugs are able to come into this, get themselves around, they're going to be feeling really confident. And it does show a certain level of professionalism and focus,
sure.
no matter what happens to distraction going into the later stages, later rounds, where it isn't just a best of one, it's a best of three, it's a best of five. It shows that they are going to be able to go the distance and scrap it out. So here's hoping that they are able to recover from it. And even though I'm supporting Portsmouth here, get themselves around that they probably deserved.
Yeah, I think that the real emphasis as well has been on that CT side rounds, right? For the most part, the CT side has been the more comfort area, I guess you could say, for both of these two sides. And the T side is where they've sort of struggled for both sides as well. Portsmouth, especially late game, Portsmouth, they struggled to close out in regulation when they had 15 on the board. And Eco was the one that actually chipped them away, broke their economy. And that's the thing. I think for Portsmouth, finding a 16th round on T side when it's only 3 rounds and a half in OT, I mean, that is huge.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, we're on T side right now, but we are going to switch the opposite way around, and Portsmouth are going to be back on CT, which is where they really shine for a lot of the game. Sure, it was a scrappy match, but it feels like when they moved over to the T side, things started to slip a little bit. So, do you maybe expect Portsmouth to come out and take a couple more rounds when they do get over to CT? Because it is a side that they did really well on earlier on in the game.
I think that's the big question mark. And I think, well, if we were going into OT without these sort of tech issues, I would have very comfortably said that in the current position, Portsmouth don't deserve this map. They haven't played well enough when it came to their T, especially their T side, which sort of has given way too many opportunities for Slugs Black to close things out. Hence what they did on CT side, where they closed down that deficit, especially when they had 15 on the board. Portsmouth unable to close things out. And I think I would have comfortably said that, I'd probably expect Slugs Black to from now on run away with it, especially since they were starting on the CT side of overtime. But now this changes things. I'd hope that, of course, when we get Dino back in the server, this game can get back on the way momentarily, and it's not going to be too much of a falter for him, but we're yet to see, really.
Yeah, unfortunate. We still wait for Dino to get back in. Not sure exactly what happened there, whether he maybe spilled his drink and caused a power surge, but
Hmm.
we are just waiting to see exactly what's going on. As hopefully we will get an update soon. It's so close though, and it's not the time. It's one thing, getting a player disconnected halfway
Yeah.
through the game, for instance, and you still have a couple rounds to get back into the swing of things. But now it is a fact that we're halfway through overtime. You don't have those rounds to get the momentum going again. You either win or you lose. There is no, question mark as to being able to get that momentum back. LTH has just confirmed, by the way, his internet is starting up as we speak, so we should hopefully be in a couple of seconds.
Well, Hopefully. But what we're going to do now is just throw this one to a break. That's the thing with tech pauses. We can't really put a timer on it because hopefully, you know, the power comes back on, the internet turns back on, all that good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, stick around. We're getting overtime back on the way momentarily. We'll see you in a second.
At SteelSeries, we make the headsets, mice and keyboards that the world's best gamers win the most with. And we've been doing it since way back.
Due to continued innovation and product development with leading professional gamers around the world, SteelSeries is the #1 brand for professional gaming gear.
Congratulations, Fool wins it. But Na'Vi, man, just take the grand final 3-1.
A lot's changed since then, but one thing always stays the same: winning. Every pro that picks up a SteelSeries product pushes its limits. That's what makes us push ours. It's up to you how far you go, but whatever you do, go for glory.
apologies for the delays. We actually end up finding out that Dino was playing on 3G for a little bit right there, so that will explain the connection issues. Because of that, he has been subbed out. They're going to bring in another player to replace him for the final few rounds, so going to be interesting to see how that goes. The player is getting in right now, so we should be into the game in just a couple of seconds. Oh, Neo's muted.
Apologies about that. Sorry about that. I just say, I think coming into it's going to be Regal stepping in, right? So don't know anything about him on an individual basis, but the chat seems quite excited. So maybe that's something to go off. But I think losing Dino is as big, right? I mean, Dino, it wasn't up there in terms of high fragging. It was the impact frags which made a difference for him. And of course, that's a notable name. That's a big player for them to lose.
Yeah, absolutely. And the problem becomes now, Dino, like, he's struggled with technical issues throughout the game, apparently. Now, you know, coming in, hoping that he is going to have that player fill in for him, and it will have some more success. We're just waiting for the game to unpause, and then we will be underway. But for anyone who missed out, it's currently 16-16. We are in overtime, and the round is starting in just 5 seconds. Can Portsmouth Paladins get that one more round on the T side before switching over to CT, where, well, they've just shined so far tonight?
Yeah, that's the big question. Can they step back into the shoes? You know, Portsmouth Paladins, they've been given a bit of a lifeline here, and of course already trying to go a little bit aggressive. HNC, bit of information, bit of utility use, but it's Joe to find a double as they open up this A site. Molotov's in towards jungle, and already complete control of A site for Portsmouth Paladins.
Really impressive to see right here. They've already mollied off over towards a window right now as LTH is just going to be there in the corner. Peeks out after Shin-Chan was there to take down Joke. Beautiful little 2K spray right there. Sure, Portsmouth Paladins managed to get the opening kill, which is something we've spoke about so much tonight, but it doesn't look like they're going to get the round in. Their favorites are 1 versus 3. Sure, they've got themselves the bomb down, but Pacheng is going to try and sneak out, knows where the AUE player is going to be, needs to make a little bit of noise if he wants to get the kill, but not to be, as LTH is there to find the headshot. We're going to swap sides. Slugs Black go into it with the round advantage, but we mentioned the Paladins. They've had a strong CT so far tonight. This could be their opportunity to prove just how strong it really is.
Yeah, exactly that. Of course, I think the biggest thing is it's back to our regular showing with Slugs Black back in control. Doesn't matter who they've got on the team. They were so far have been the more in control side. Portsmouth Paladins a bit dotted here and there, but now they're heading to the more favourable CT side. Can this be something which work in their favour? And what they're doing is actually sending Regal in first. Not warmed up, so of course can be essentially used as cannon fodder.
Yep, it's interesting to see how they can just send that player in, hoping for the best. Pinu, well, he's underneath. He didn't actually spot the fact that a player has already pushed out onto the site, as Lil Faith is there for the trade. Regal just going to be holding market, but to no avail as Joke takes down 1. Regal with the 2K. Joke makes it a 3rd. It's a 1 versus 2 right now. Shin-Chan throws down the Molotov onto the site. It almost connects, but it's not going to be enough. Portsmouth Paladins tie things up. It's the 4th, now 5th round of overtime, and it isn't looking like things are slowing down, even after a pretty long technical pause.
Yeah, this is looking like a double OT on the cards here. 1 round for Slugs Black on T side means we're, well, most likely going to get an OT on the cards. Paladins need to be flawless on this CT to take this one in just the first, which, knowing how evenly matched these two sides have been, is asking a lot. Flashbang coming in towards mid spaces will be pushed off the angle as Joke will reposition towards short.
Try and move up short a little, but the smoke is making it tricky to get that line of sight. They do have 1 player holding ladder, as the majority of Slugs Black are going to be moving through the middle. Joke took a little bit of damage, potentially to a HE grenade, and he's been forced to back off because of it. It looks like now Slugs Black, they're going for A, and Shin-Chan getting the headshot is going to give away a lot of info. Pacheng still watching, though, as the smoke comes out. There's 2 AWPs looking over towards Palace. If that player peeks out, they're going to be in trouble. But Spacers needs to be so careful, because look at all those players on the minimap about to make a move through connector. The Molotovs, Incendiaries all going to be there, preventing Regal from making a push. But now that they've dissipated, it could be the opportunity. No, instead they turn back, as they look like they all want to follow through with Shin-Chan, who was playing that opening position already.
Yeah, 17-17 as well. This is really when it comes down to the wire, and Slugs Black are repositioning over towards A. It might be ever so slightly miscalculated. That rotation coming oh so quickly as Pechang is holding, waiting. Miss Johnny with punish. Shinchan gifted a free kill off the back of a whiffed AWP shot there.
Sold out spaces to try and make something happen, but he's going to be spotted out from Palace. Throws down the smoke, tries to move through, but runs straight into a headshot. Joke getting taken down as well as Portsmouth Paladins. They've only got one player left up, and it doesn't look like that's going to be the case for long. Spinu, well, he found himself a headshot, but there's still 4 more players he has to try and navigate. If maybe he can spot out HNT, then it will work a little bit better for the Paladins, as they should be able to at least find that one extra bullet to get the kill and make the round just a little bit more costly for Slugs Black, but it just isn't happening. Jumps through to the window as the player right next to him is going to be in connector. Pinu just wants to go for the peak, but his time's limited. They know where he is. He gets himself a kill. Can he find a second? Not looking like it. Backs off. I'm going to try and save the M4.
Yeah, that's going to be the case. It's better than nothing. He's going to try and find a bit of economical damage. Not going to be given an LTH. Finds himself the last, and well, just like that, Slugs Black 1 round away from taking this in OT number 1. Portsmouth Paladins need this round to push it to double OT. Will they be gifted it? That's the question. Slugs Black are looking dominant.
We'll see, though, as, I mean, last time Slugs Black got the lead, Portsmouth Paladins were there to close it up. If they do tie it up, it goes to double overtime, but it's all down to Slugs Black to really seal out this game and wrap it up for the night. They don't want to be playing much longer. They want to get this over with, get the win in the books, then take a moment to relax before going into next week's games. Joke still holding the middle, going for the AWP this time, and I can't help but notice how many AWPs is that on the side of Portsmouth Paladins.
Yeah, they're going for the triple AWP setup, which is a rogue to say the least, but the AWPs have at times been their difference maker, so I can kind of see the thought process behind it, especially with a 16k OT, which is, you know, it's sort of tier 1 level play is pretty unheard of, so they're kind of abusing the fact that they got unlimited economy, really.
Interesting to see. Pechang not going to be rocking the AWP and plays point because of it in the hopes of being able to find an angle, but we just wait right now as everyone from Slugs has posted up. This might just be an actual execute as the smoke starts to come through. This is the sign that the push is going to be there. Shabby goes to the shot, but Pechang able to open up with the headshot first. LTH eliminates 2 of them. Shabby goes down. Joke there with the AWP takes down Shinchan, but it leaves now only 3 players left up for each squad. LTH swings out wide, backed into the corner behind the box as Flashbang is going to be flying over the top. This is the opportunity to get the plant. 25 seconds now remain on the clock as you can see Spacers holding that angle, or at least trying to. The smoke's there, tries to spray through, but it's not to be. Flashbang connects. Spacers can't find anything right now. Gonna get ballsy and jump up over the top. Spots out the player, but it's Regal there for the trade. Joke takes the trade as well, though. It's a 2 versus 2. The Blom is down. It resets the timer for just a little bit longer as LTH gets taken down low, throws down his last flashbang. The frag grenade comes out, and we're going to double OT.
That's brilliant. Of course, you mentioned the AWPs might have been a difference maker. That's exactly what we see. A double for Joke, really causing significant issues. And of course, as you mentioned, now going to that double OT. I do have to say, I think with that round that we saw where, of course, it was a 4 versus 5 with Dino dropping out, that for me was a difference maker. For Slugs Black, it should have been closed out in OT number 1. And they are very, very unfortunate to be in that sort of situation where now, of course, double OT and the pressure starting to significantly mount on their shoulders.
Joke and LCH both pulling at their weight right now as those lead fraggers, 35 kills apiece. Sure, we've got a lot more rounds than a regular game, but it shows the determination and the fact that they are not slowing down. The economy now having been completely reset. Can Portsmouth Paladins carry that momentum over there on the CT side, which, as we mentioned earlier, is the side where they've really thrived so far, but as Shinchan finds the opening kill, well, we've known what they can do with that. Shinchan does fall in the trade to Shabby as the flashbang comes over. It looked for a second like Slugs wanted to commit to A site, but going for the full rotate, Pinu might be able to scout this out and call the info.
Might be able to. Going for just the jumpy, looking for something. And actually, it's very slow and quite methodical from Slugs Black. Really just taking a step away. And might have even heard that sound cue as he repositions in towards the apartment's position. I just got to play on the other side of the smoke, really.
Look at that utility, though. You can see Slugs Black have just so much to work with. As Peter throws down another smoke, this is going to slow them down. This is limiting the time for Slugs to work with. But as Peter gets a little bit greedy, goes to the peak, really going to be able to find it. Spray comes out from Pacheng, but LTH is there for the headshot. Nicely done. The Spacers, oh, he tries to find the flick. It just doesn't land. The plant has come through from Slugs Black as Paladins now start to wake up and close this distance. Shabby sneaking up, trying not to give any audio cues away. The Spacers doing what he can, making so much noise, but basically in a 1 versus 4 with an AWP, it's not ideal. Shabby comes round the back, causes a distraction, but as Spacers falls, well, now it truly is a 1 versus 3. We're in double overtime. We know that there's still a couple rounds buffer, but Shabby does not want to lose this one as the util still in hand from Slugs. It looks like it's their round to lose.
Yeah, they're falling away, of course, now. Shabby not able to find anything. That's a brilliant execute from Slugs Black. They make it look very, very easy, in fact. They get control, the post plant set up, and they give no room to work with. For the ball to Paladin side, again, Slugs Black starting to pull away early doors. And this time the difference is they're doing it on T side. If they can find 2 out of 3 rounds on T side, they should close things out when it comes to their CT, because we know how strong and dominant they have been when they're on that counter-terror side.
It feels like that's what we said when Portsmouth were on T-side, though. As Portsmouth now will be able to open up spaces there with the AWP shot. Still going with that AWP-heavy playstyle, seemingly, the Paladins, as they try to salvage back that round. They found an opening kill. Shabby yet again playing aggressive, and this time a little more so than in previous rounds. Wants to go for it as the smoke is there. Just going to hold up in the corner. You can see LTH, oh, was expecting it, but clearly not enough as the headshot lands from Shabby. The Peekers advantage not working out this time around. 3 players now stand from Slugs Black as it looks like Portsmouth are going to be able to, if not confirm themselves the round, do some real damage and make this a costly one for Slugs Black.
Yeah, of course, now 3 versus 5. This is the opportunity for Paladins to, well, at least tie this one up to some degree. If they can tie it up 19-19, deny Slugs Black from getting second on T side, as we spoke about, it gives them a lot of room to work with, and they, of course, move into that second half. So far, tempo very, very slow in the server. At the T side, a 2-man disadvantage is not a lot to work with.
Truly is a war right now. No one team getting the jump over the other. Slugs Black, well, they got 3 players up. They've still got plenty of util. We may see an execute, but it looks like they're going to go for that raw gun skill in head. Flashbang does go out as the Molotovs land under ladder. HNT takes down one, but Shabby's there for the trade. Shin-Chan eliminates another as Space is just holding the cross. Thought it was going to be a flashbang, but instead it is a smoke. Joke with the no-scope. Beautifully done. Wow, full flash to be able to take down Shin-Chan. It's HNT in a 1 versus 3. And Joke, well, he pushes up with the P250 and finishes off the final player. Wow, this has been a close OT as it will start to close up even further. 19-19, this is truly going the distance.
This is 19-19 tied up, and what we are going to see is a pause coming forward. The Slugs Black side are going to pause this one because they know how important a second round on T side in OT is to them, right? They need it. If they want to pick up 20, of course, we're looking for the all-elusive 22. To get within 2 on CT side is the way to play things out, but of course if they get the opportunity up towards Portsmouth Paladins, they might be able to close things out in that second half of second OT.
I guess we'll find out soon as only 1 second remains on the timeout. Let's hope it was enough for them to get everything in order, because if Slugs want to take this, getting an extra round on the T side is the way to do it. The round starts, and well, you got to think that one of these teams is going to get super aggressive early on right now to try and catch another off guard, as it looks like Slugs, they're all just posted up at ramp.
They're going to wait and hold for an opportunity. Molotov coming forward as well, keep LTH at bay. HNT as well, just ever so slightly manoeuvring around. Not going to be given a lot of room to work with. That's a smoke plumes in front, and what we're going to see is Shabby sitting in that common position that we've seen before, utilised by the Paladin side.
Shabby's had a lot of success from this position, but it's only a matter of time until Slugs start to get the read on it. So potentially a better idea to start playing back, because that's exactly what Shabby does, and it works out. Takes down HNT, and there's the opening kill in the way of Pompey. Ramp is still being played by one of those Slugs players, but it looks like the bomb is moving over to A. Don't forget, by the way, they still have Lil Faith over towards Connector, holding mid, waiting for one of the Pompey players to overextend and maybe rotate over to A site. But I think the Portsmouth have learned by now that just because Slugs open up on one site doesn't mean that they're going to commit to it. We've seen it quite a bit in the past where they've opened up onto one site and then immediately move around to the back. That's what they're doing again, but a lot more stealthily this time around.
Very, very slow tempo. You can see the pressure really starting to play on these two sides as well. They trying to just eye each other out as best they can. Spotted a range though. Pechang given another opportunity to work with, and Shinchan falling. This is a really tough now for Slows Black. It's looking like it could be a 20th in favour of the CT side. Regal finds the trade at the very least, trying to get a bomb down, but on site still remain spaces. I say this, and now given room to work with. 2 versus 3, one player each. Very, very low on HP.
Joke ends up falling. If Portsmouth had themselves a HE grenade, that would be yet another player denied, but the only utility right now is in the hands of Slugs as Pencheng tries to go for the peak, has a read on where the player is going to be. Shabby starts to move around the back, knows a player on the backside of the site, will be able to open up, gets himself the knock. It's a 1 versus 1 though, both players down to low HP. Lil Faith already found the headshot, now has the read on where the solo player is going to be, and lands it with the body. Slugs go into the second half of overtime with the round advantage, but we've seen so many upsets tonight, especially when we get down to the wire. Who's to say Portsmouth don't just frag out over here on the T side?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that has been their weakness, it has to be said. The T side for Portsmouth has been, for me, the real sort of the blip for them where it hasn't worked out. And the fact that Slugs Black are now only 2 rounds away and they're on CT side, you'd expect them to be able to close things out. But so far, you've got to expect the unexpected, really, with these two sides.
See, Spacer's looking out. Can't find the line of sight. It's Joke. Well, he's getting super aggressive early. Flashbang under 2 Connector. The Slugs, well, they decide to go with 1 AWP, as do Portsmouth. A little bit different to what we've seen in previous rounds. You can see Portsmouth sending Shabby to maybe pick up that bomb. Once they found an opening onto a site, it's going to be Joke who opens up with the initial kill over towards that A site. HNT preps himself the incendiary, followed by a flash, but looks like now Joke is really fragging out. He's found 2, making a 3rd before being eliminated with a headshot. The bomb's down, so they need to get it over to that A site and make the most out of the advantage, but Regal is in a 1 versus 4, and you know that AWP is more than likely trained onto Connector.
Yeah, there we go. Comfortable as well, Regal. Unfortunate as well, stepping into such a high pressure situation as Portsmouth Paladins making it 20-20. Now, for Portsmouth Paladins, on their T side, it needs to be flawless from them if they want to take this in OT number 2. And for Slugs Black, they need to pick up the remaining 2 rounds of the 3 that are available if they want to take an OT number 2, which does start to make the question that maybe slightly an OT 3 could be on the cards.
I can't help but notice as well, Slugs this time not go with an AWP full M4 and gonna get super up close and personal to try and make the most out of it. Joke does fall, and the opening kill going the way of Slugs. It looks like Portsmouth being taken a little bit aback now as they slow down, not getting aggressive as they did last round. Maybe it is a bit of a downside where you play 1 round and the other squad immediately gets a read on you. It really shows the quality of these squads where they can immediately adjust their play style depending on the other team. Shabby just holds the smoke, waits for it to dissipate. A site seemingly where the majority of the Slugs players are going to be, but the Molotov is going to make it just so much harder for the Paladins to make a push up to B just yet.
But he's coming forward. Oh, Shinchan, he's got so much information. He can now just try and fall away as best he can. Dominate's coming through, takes a good amount of damage, and there comes the trade. At the very least, he's given a bit of time, he's bought a bit of time for Slugs Black to rotate forward, but LTH is left very isolated there, finds himself 1, repositioning, but unable to find a 3rd.
Oh, that was huge there from Spacers, but he's traded out as, I mean, Slugs, they immediately, as soon as that kill came through, made the rotate, and they clustered up. There was no real time for Portsmouth to work with, as now it does go to the final round. Slugs could take this if they get themselves the round win, but if Pompey are able to somehow salvage it with that double AWP setup, then we're going to yet another overtime. We will see as Portsmouth now maybe wanting to get aggressive again, but looks like they're just going to hold the angles, play a little bit slower, not get quite as overzealous as they did in the previous OT rounds.
Again, very slow tempo, and you can really understand for Portsmouth Paladins why they don't want to be too overzealous. They are in a really tough predicament where Slugs Black, 1 round is all we need here for them to, well, close this one out in double OT, and so far, they're in that driver's seat, but Shabby being given so much room to work with. The space he created into his apartment is huge.
Shots do come out as LTH takes cover. The smoke. Shabby tries to open something as both players right in front of each other, either side the smoke. Shabby falls. The bomb, by the way, all the way back in T-spawn. Portsmouth Paladins, they went for a bit of a fake, but it seems like Slugs maybe have a good read on it as they do have that player underneath the ladder. Regal will be spotted out, but Shin-Chan is immediately there for the trade. The player advantage goes the way of Slugs Black as the flashbang comes through. HNT not completely giving the position away, but maybe, just maybe, they'll be able to get a read. Pinu with the bomb tries to go for the plant seemingly, but doesn't in the end, as now it will come out. All of those Slugs players pushing through CT spawn, holding towards Ticket Booth. Looks like Joke wants to go for the peak, but not to be. He's holding that discipline, knows just how dangerous this could end up being. If he goes for it, Spaces is there to land the AUE shot as Joke lands one of his own. It's down to a 2 versus 1 right now as Shin-Chan tries to peek up. He takes down Spaces. Pinu's down low. Pinu has to clutch this out if Portsmouth want to remain in it, but it's so close as the defuse attempt comes out. He's going to stick it. It looks like it might just be over, and what an unfortunate way for things to end for the Portsmouth Paladins, as in the end, it's Slugs Back that get themselves that game win.
Yeah, we've said all day, you know, it's all about that post plant. And in that times, you know, that wasn't a good post plant. Don't have the bomb in your line of sight. You don't have time to rotate in. And the age-old saying comes to mind straight away. Pros don't fake. A brilliant play. Slugs Black closed things out. I think from the latter, but the second half of regulation, Slugs Black looked like the better side. And while it may have been a long time coming, it eventually came in their favour.
Yeah, it really did go the distance, though. You have to give both teams credit. It's gone on a while, considering it was 2 best of ones, but 2 extremely close games, considering game 1 looked like it was going to be an absolute stomp, and it was anything but. And then seeing just how far these teams had to fight tooth and nail to make it to the end. What a way to really start off the CSGO winter season, because you got to bear in mind, we may be a few rounds in. This is the first round being broadcast. I think it is maybe going to give people a good insight of truly the level of University CSGO that we have this year.
Yeah, spot on. The level is getting higher and higher year on year, seems to be getting better and better. That's what we're starting to see now with real top tier UK talent actually starting to broaden their horizons throughout the university scene and give them the experience needed to really, as you mentioned, take on the next stages and the next steps when it comes to not only domestic scene, but then looking towards abroad as well. What a start. Slugs Black 22-20, take it in double OT. I mean, that's a long day from us, Chunks. A long day.
Absolutely. We came into this thinking, oh, it's 2 best of ones. It'll be over in no time. But with the level of competition, they go the distance. But that's it for us tonight. Before we do want to give a quick shout out to Intel 12th Generation and SteelSeries for making this all possible. If you do decide to get some SteelSeries products, you do get a discount if you have your Prime student as well. So be sure to make the most out of that. But that is it for us tonight. We're going to be back same time next week. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.